Welcome to the BXG Podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet.
You think it's just going to be barbecue sauce?
Because if you actually read those books, it's just gobbledygook.
I really think clothes should be mandatory.
Speaking of Star Wars,
Captain America.
trailer reaction video. Welcome to a BXG production, a BXG Gamescast. I am one of your hosts, Brenton Beswick, alongside my co-host for this adventure, Mr. Charles Devolver Chambers.
What is going on? How are you, sir? Seriously, the production value of this show knows no bounds.
Yep, really, it's been a step up since the last time you were here.
It really has. I really appreciate the new seat, by the way, that you sent to me, the bougie seat and stuff. Like, I didn't know you had the bankroll like that. So I appreciate it, man. This is good. Wait, this wasn't from
Didn't come from us.
Oh, anyway, hey man, how are you?
I'm good. I think that this is kind of something that we have wanted to do. Do some more long form, kind of jump into some specific things. And as we're recording here on January 31st in 10 days, the long awaited, hotly debated Hogwarts Legacy arrives on PC and next gen consoles for PS5, Xbox Series machines. The other SKUs are delayed. I know that the Switch is somewhere in like April, I think, and then or maybe March, and then April or May for the PS4 and the Xbox One. But
yes,
I thought that this was a really good thing to jump in on for let's do this sort of long form thing because it's releasing soon. There's been a lot of press, good and bad, behind it, and there's a lot of curiosity behind the scenes based on like developers and choices of who's developing and that sort of thing. So I just kind of thought that this was a kind of a layup to sort of get our feet wet with for a kind of a long form type conversation.
Yeah, this is definitely something that has a lot of facets to it because you get a developer that's not, we're going to go into it, but not necessarily known for their home runs, and then they're given this golden egg of an IP to kind of take a crack at. And then of course, some of the controversy that goes around the history of Harry Potter and stuff like that that's come to light in the recent years and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot to get our feet wet in and sink our teeth into. So I'm pretty excited. I have to know off the top, how familiar are you with Harry Potter in general?
So familiar. I've read the series tip to tail twice. I've seen all the movies probably multiple times each. I will say that in recent years, when I say the movies, I mean the actual Harry Potter run.
Yeah.
I've fallen, like, after the last movie, I was good. Like, I didn't need the expanding universe, which is, I think you're seeing with Marvel right now, and even to a different extent with the announcement of some of the DC stuff that came yesterday from Peter Safran and James Gunn, which we'll be talking about on our other show. Like, the expansive universe stuff is not maybe always great, and it certainly leads to a lot of fatigue. And I think that shit just gets running into the ground at this point. You know what I mean? It's just, it's crazy how, like, regardless of like the fans or whatever, it's like, we're going to feed you this. We're just going to keep feeding this stuff to you. And that was, I felt like when the movies ended with the original Harry Potter run, they kind of went away for a while. And then there was like another book that I think was written as a stage play. And then these other movies where now it's like, okay, we're just obviously shining this big golden turd at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And But the one place that has been devoid of any quality entries is the game space.
Oh, for sure.
And there's a lot that could be done with this IP. And this is really the first AAA game since Harry Potter's been a thing, which is going on 25 years here.
Yeah.
So I think that actually 26 years. I think that it's there's so many things that are interesting about this because, like you said, it's a golden ticket of an IP, and it's something that no one's really done anything of quality with. The Lego thing's debatable, but
right.
To be really missing on this, it's funny to me sometimes how you have these big IP like Marvel, Batman, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter, and all of the games that you feel like they would lend themselves really well to, and all the games like suck.
Yeah.
And I think
they're all cash grabs. They all
Sure.
end up being cash grabs. They either tie into a movie that's coming out soon or something like that. They're practically used as promotional pieces instead of standalone pieces.
Right. I think that kind of changed with Arkham Asylum.
Yes.
And that's where, not coincidentally, under this sort of Warner Entertainment umbrella, but that's where things kind of started to pick up, because then you got the Shadow of Mordor game,
which were very good.
Yeah, some of the other things, Jedi Fallen Order with the Star Wars stuff.
Oh yeah, Star Wars is cranking up for sure. Yeah.
The Avengers, not so much in terms of the game, but Guardians of the Galaxy was real good. So I think that they're kind of starting to figure out how to fit these into this space a little bit. And it's just really interesting to see that this is the first like shot at a AAA Harry Potter game. And it's
the world is so ripe for it. It was like, how is it this long? How's it taken this long?
And the fact that it's taking this long is part of the reason why I think that there's so much poor will against it. If this had come out 4 years ago, before J.K. Rowling's had
a meltdown, right?
Yeah, just been like, hey, I'm just gonna tweet stuff, I think this would have been a slam dunk. And then I even look back and forth, because we talk about the developer, we'll get into that, and there's gameplay stuff that we'll maybe take a look at. But
yeah,
sometimes it looks great. Sometimes it looks like it's no worse than an 80 out of 100. And sometimes it looks like it's no better than a 70. And so it's going to be weird. And there's so much with all the J.K. Rowling stuff that plays into this. And I just think all of that, like I said, all that together it's just a really good, this seems like a really good entry point for us to start doing stuff. So,
and just to mention, I know nothing about Harry Potter. I am a blank slate. I've seen everything that goes with this. Haven't read the books. I've probably seen the movie in passing 1 or 2 times. One of the movies, very passive. So, but I recognize that this is a game I could possibly enjoy. Like, I see trailers and stuff, and we'll get into that later, more of an overview, but it's interesting. So for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's jump in. Hogwarts Legacy from Avalanche Software, just around the corner, February 10th, as we said, April 4th for the PS4, Xbox One, and July 25th for the Nintendo Switch. Be the first AAA game under the WB Armor Portkey Games, which was established by WV Interactive in 2017 to oversee Wizarding World gaming products. Prior to the announcement of Hogwarts Legacy, the studio published 4 mobile games, the publisher published 4 mobile games, including 2018's Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery from Jam City, 2019's Harry Potter Wizards Unite from Niantic, which is Pokemon Go.
Yeah, Niantic's a big name.
2020's Harry Potter Puzzles and Spells from Zynga, which is another
so you
big.
know what to expect from that. Yeah.
Yep. And 2021's Harry Potter Magic Awakened from Zen Studios. Hogwarts Legacy is an ambitious open-world action role-playing game that takes place at Hogwarts over 100 years before the events of the Harry Potter novels and film. films. It is not only the first AAA foray for Porky Games, but the first console entry in general. So that's kind of the overview.
So you got the mobile games, of course. I mean, there's some big names there. Niantic is big, Zynga is big, and then Zen Studios. I mean, they're big.
I'm not familiar with. I mean, at least surface level with Zen. What's that all about?
I mean, it's more just
mobile.
Just shovelware stuff. But I mean, it's more of the popular end stuff. It's not the trash bottom heap stuff. So it's interesting that they had so many takes at portable games. I never really heard of any of these portable games, so I don't necessarily know if they take off. I'm not a big mobile gamer, so
yeah.
I don't. Harry Potter, I'm not into mobile games. I'm not into, so I'm not going to check these out. Like, I'm not going to have a reason to. But it's interesting that they got such bigger names in the mobile arena to take this on. So I mean that kind of bodes well, I guess.
I feel like the Harry Potter, the Niantic thing was kind of almost like a Pokemon Go clone, or at least that's what the expectation of it was, for given who made it. I don't know if that's true, because I don't mobile games, I play Wordle, but that's about it. Let's get into Avalanche here. Avalanche Software was purchased, oddly enough, by WE Interactive from Disney. So that's like the Yankees trading to the Red Sox.
Pretty much.
Given the last game from Avalanche was Cars 3 Driven Within, released in 2017, it's safe to assume that Avalanche has been working on a Hogwarts Legacy since the time of purchase. Common confusion comes regarding Avalanche Software and Avalanche Studios, who also worked for WB Interactive in the form of 2015 severely underrated Mad Max. So let's great game. Let's clear up some confusion between Avalanche Software based in Utah, Salt Lake City, and Avalanche Studios Group based in Stockholm, Denmark. Avalanche Studio, while also developing Mad Max, is most well known for its open world sandbox destruction series Just Cause, along with 2019's Rage 2. Avalanche Software is most well known for working on Disney games that tie into various film franchises such as Cars and Toy Story, with Toy Story 3 being the most well-received game of the bunch. However, Salt Lake's Avalanche is likely best known for its run during the Toys to Life gaming fad, Disney Infinity. Disney Infinity launched in 2013, with version 2 and version 3 launching in 2014 and 15 respectively, and it was the center of the Toys to Life phase that also included TT Games Lego Dimensions, which I had several sets. Toys for Bob's and Vicarious Vision Skylanders series. Toys to Life continues with the widely successful Nintendo Amiibo, which, unlike the previously mentioned games, do not require a specific game to utilize. Do you have any Amiibos?
I have some. Never used them. I just use them as trinkety shit for my shelf.
Yeah. I have a Mario Amiibo. That's about it.
I have so interesting here. So
a Harry Potter one.
No. For so if you remember, the new Animal Crossing and Doom came out on the same day.
Okay.
So I have this. I have you're not gonna be able to see it. It is Isabel, but dressed up like Doom.
Like Doom guy?
Has a little with a little Doom shotgun and stuff like that.
That's actually really funny.
Yes, it's fantastic. So I have a few Amiibos, but
I like I said, I got pretty deep into the Lego Dimension sets just because I fucking love Legos. I never played. I had it. I had the whole gamepad and everything and all the minifigs and all that. But I just wanted it oh, cool, Ghostbusters thing that transforms into 3 different things. Hell yeah.
I mean, that was huge for a while. I mean, the Toys to Life thing was such a moneymaker. Holy crap.
Yeah, but then, especially Skylanders, man, you go into a GameStop and buy a bunch of Skylanders figures for 50 cents each. And that's actually just kind of to add on to this, Disney Infinity launched as a sandbox-based game that required action figures alongside the game to play. Version 1 included entries from Pirates of the Caribbean, Monsters Inc., The Incredibles, Cars, and Toy Story, while version 2 introduced Marvel characters, and version 3 introduced Star Wars. I have a boatload of those Marvel Disney Infinity things.
What you just mentioned right there, version 2 and version 3 is just fat, huge stacks of money.
Yeah.
Just printing money for
until they weren't
foreseeable future.
Yeah. It was that until they weren't.
Until they were, until the bottom dropped out, right?
Yeah.
Just,
and that was like because kids were like, what is this shit? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I never played them. I never had Disney Infinity, but I have a boatload of those Marvel characters. Because you get, whenever it, like you said, the bottom dropped out.
Yeah.
They were on sale at like GameStop and Walmart. They were like $2 each. I was like, hell yeah, I want Black Suit Spider-Man action figure.
Trinkety stuff at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It looks great on a desk.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to almost like how Guitar Hero and Rock Band just fell off completely out of the sky.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of related to sort of that because they were everywhere, all these games being developed for it. And then all of a sudden, just everything got nixed.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like landfills full of Guitar Hero guitars.
You watch your mouth. I still have my guitar. Hold on.
You made me play that. That was the first time I ever played Guitar Hero or Rock Band. Yeah. The first time I ever played Rock Band was at your house.
Yeah, weirdly enough, because we live half the country away from each other.
Yeah, right.
You were just like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm passing through.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Avalanche. Given the studio's checkered history in terms of release tabbing, the Salt Lake-based studio seemed a curious choice. When WV Interactive has heavy hitters like Rocksteady, the studio behind the massively successful Batman Arkham series, and Monolith Production, the team behind the popular Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and Middle-earth Shadow of War entries. The other thing about this, from where I sit, is that Arkham Knight released in 2015.
Okay.
And Rocksteady, okay, so then Rocksteady did the Arkham VR experience.
Yep.
For PSVR. And they haven't done anything since. I know they have Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League coming here later in the year, but I feel like you put one of your it's fucking Harry Potter. I mean, this isn't, you know,
it's really a crazy choice because, you know, I mean, you even have the Middle Earth series that are very quality that would almost feed into this same sort of atmosphere. I mean, loosely, obviously, but
sure, the fantasy element,
it's adjacent, sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's such an odd thing, and it's so confusing to me that I don't understand why you're going to put your shovelware studio on this. That has to be my biggest red flag with this. That has to be.
Yeah, I mean,
you're going to go from Toy Story to Harry Potter.
Toy Story 3 is actually a pretty good game.
I mean, that's fair, but it's still shovelware. It's still movie
tie-in.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So this is a new, I mean, of course, the universe is already pretty much well built, but you're doing an original story in this built universe and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge undertaking, and you got to think, I don't even know what size of the studio they are and stuff like that. Because, I mean, they've been working on this for a while.
6 years?
6 years, and it's a lot. I mean, that's a big pill for me to swallow, to be okay with them doing this and not have any reservations about it.
Yeah, and I think that at one point when we were starting talking about this as a product or as a project that we wanted to work on, and I said, yeah, you know, it's Avalanche. And you said, oh shit, Mad Max Just Cause.
Yeah, that's the first thing I went through. Yeah, I was like, sweet.
And then it just wasn't that.
Right.
And it's like, it's just a weird one. And it gives me a lot of concern. Like, it reminds me a little bit of the deal that Star Wars, Lucas, Disney signed with EA for Star Wars games.
Yeah.
And okay, we immediately out the gate got Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, and it was fine. It was it's a Battlefield clone, basically. It had no campaign.
Yeah.
And then we get Battlefront 2, and it's like, okay, EA is a massive publisher, one of the biggest publishers in the world. And so like the time goes on, and we only have these two kind of subpar shooters. What are we doing? And then you find out that Visceral had a game that was canceled. That was headed by Amy Hennig, who was behind the first, basically the shepherd of Uncharted. And there was a lot of excitement about that because of the pedigree of the people involved.
Yeah, they had a trailer and everything for that, didn't they? Like a cinematic trailer?
If they had a trailer or not. I don't even think it had a name. You might be thinking of Star Wars 1313.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, which got axed like right after the Disney purchase.
Merger.
Because that thing was gonna be allegedly, it looked great. But it got saved, like Star Wars games got saved by Jedi Fallen Order.
For sure.
Which is Respawn, which is not known for those type of games.
So it makes you wonder, like, with these big IPs, that when companies get these big IPs under their wing, it's like, what is the lowest overhead that we can pump out this IP to make the maximum amount of money? Because you got to bank on people just buying a Harry Potter game because it's Harry Potter, Star Wars because it's Star Wars. So if we can get our scrub studio over here to just pump out something, they're going to make their money and more.
But I think that I agree with you, but I also think that kind of way of looking at this is pretty flawed in this sense, because this is your first shot at a AAA game in the, like, on new consoles, or even, PS4, Xbox One, whatever. But I feel like you want to put a good first step forward.
Well, yeah, to build off of this, because I mean, if this game's dead in the water, who's going to buy a sequel?
Right. Or who's going to buy anything, Porky Games mobile.
Right. But if you knock this out of the park, that's a trilogy of games almost guaranteed. Just because of the IP, and you have a great game. I mean, look at Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order. It's a new story. It is the same universe, but it is a fascinating, well thought out, well put together game. And they already have a sequel in the works that's coming out soon. And I think there's already talks of a third one kind of rumbling around. I've heard I don't know if that's confirmed.
I would imagine.
Yeah. But it's just money after money.
Yeah. I think that we've hit on this point of, this is the first AAA game in the Harry Potter space. And obviously this does not take place in the same era or whatever. Harry Potter and his little buddies aren't going to be
his running crew.
Right. They're not going to be part of this. It takes place in the world, but adjacent. Sure. And so I think part of what, maybe a little bit of what we need to touch on is just the past of the Harry Potter IP in the gaming space. And obviously the Harry Potter phenomenon, which is, I think it's only fair to call it that, was began in 1997 with the publication of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the first of 7 mainline books, which would beget a spin-off, The Cursed Child. The books have been wildly successful over the years and have spawned many adaptations, most notably the films, which span 8 entries, as well as the Fantastic Beasts spin-off series and a play-in television series, as well as countless toys, board games, and more. In the gaming console space, an adaptation of the first novel, redubbed Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, made it. I don't know why they did that. I'm sure there's an explanation somewhere. Made its way to the original PlayStation extremely late in the console's life cycle of 2001. PS2 had been out. PS2.
Yeah, that's such an odd choice. It makes you think it was in some sort of development hell.
Yeah. It was developed by Argonaut Games, who's most notable for its development of the SNES Star Fox game. And it is now defunct. Star Fox. There you go, Greg. I know you're a big Star Fox guy. Sequel, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, would follow in 2002 for PS1 and PS2. It was developed by EA UK. Games based on the corresponding novel would continue to release on an annual basis until Deathly Hallows Part 2, developed by EA Fulbright. Released for PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii in 2011. Other games outside the mainline adaptation also are littered throughout the history of the series. Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup, also from EA UK, was released to PS2, Xbox, GameCube in 2003. Traveler's Tales Games, better known as TT Games, the studio behind the massively popular Lego games, gave us the Harry Potter Lego years 1 through 4 in 2010 and years 5 through 7 in 2011. And 2012 saw Harry Potter Connect for the Xbox 360. Something about that just screams terrible.
Oh, it's terrible. It's awful. God, it's awful.
As well as a spin-off Book of Spells for PS3 and a follow-up Book of Potions in 2013. Did I say? After Book of Potions, new Harry Potter iterations were relegated to the mobile space, with games being developed and published by Warner Interactive and Portkey Games. Commercially, the best game in the series was the initial adaptation of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, with over 11 million units sold. And I think that has a lot to do with what you're talking about, of just like, hey, it's Harry Potter and it's the height of its popularity. Let's buy this. Same reason I bought the Phantom Menace on PS1. That game was trash. The TT Lego games also fared well, with over 8 and 4 million sold respectively, with an additional bump for the year 1 through 7 HD remake, which also pulled in 1.5 million units and was recently a PS Plus game, in case you're curious. Critically, the games did not fare very well, with most aggregate scores lying somewhere between the high 60s and low 70s, according to Metacritic, with the outliers being the TT Lego games, which scored in the mid 80s. Those Lego games are just, they can't miss.
They can't miss. It's the same formula,
it's the same game every single time.
It's every time, just a different coat of paint. So yeah, absolutely, they're going to be the best because they're very good at the Lego games, and Harry Potter, just like Star Wars and all the other
Marvel and all that.
Marvel, they all fit in so well. So yeah.
In total, the Harry Potter games have brought in a gross of $1.5 billion in sales across 16 console games and a handful of mobile entries, which doesn't sound too bad until you compare it to Red Dead Redemption 2, which has grossed about $6 billion since its release in 2018.
Yeah, it's all been mediocre. It's all just been shovelware
movie
crap.
tie-ins.
And I mean, honestly, the reason why the first Lego game did so well, the first Harry Potter game did so well, because it was the first Harry Potter game, and it was a movie tie-in, and it was in the kind of the wave of fandom at the time, the hype and the fervor of Harry Potter. So I would venture to guess, if you put the Lego games in the same space of like really prime Harry Potter fandom, they would have sold well beyond what they did. Because those really, out of that list, is really the only games I consider even worth someone's time, because the rest of them are really, really poorly done. Yeah,
I think that's a pretty fair statement. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone movie came out in 2001, so it was the same year as the game.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're looking at a situation where it's just, like you said, we're in the height of the popularity of this sort of burgeoning franchise at that point.
Yeah.
The Lego games, like we said, they're Lego games. I mean, if you've played one, you've played all of them.
Played every one of them.
Yep. Yeah. There's nothing, I can't think of a single one that offers anything differently.
No, it's just, it depends on which.
I've played a lot of them.
Like an embarrassing amount, I'm sure.
Lego Movie, Lego Batman 3, Lego Marvel's Avengers.
Here we go.
Lego Jurassic Park. Lego Marvel's Avengers 2. Didn't finish that one.
I forgot about Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Well, it's got all 4 movies on it.
Well, of course it does.
And then what was the other one? Oh, I tried that Lego DC Villains.
Yeah.
That one's actually pretty garbage. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just like if you're in the mood for like dumb character swapping and collectibles, like if that's your mood, you
Yeah.
can't beat them.
Right.
I mean, the world in those Lego Marvel games are massive, like the overworld.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
huge.
Yes.
But it's just like, oh God, how many fucking Hulk derivatives or iterations can I collect?
Yeah.
I platinumed that. I platinumed Lego Marvel 1. And let me tell you, that's like a 60-hour platinum because it's just bullshit. Basically, you're just collecting things. You're playing the levels over. You have to get like a whatever number is after trillion studs. It's like just get infinite studs. Just keep going,
Right.
and the trophy will pop eventually. Maybe.
I'm personally just not a fan of collectathons anyway. Like the old N64 games where everything was a collectathon. I just never got into it. I just want to complete the game and move on. You, on the other hand,
Yeah, sucks me in like a.
it makes the good brain chemicals for you. It makes the feel good juice.
It does. Yes. It's just the dopamine gets going and
to keep you hanging on.
Yeah.
But as far as like Metacritic goes, I mean, I feel like that's
Yeah.
pretty accurate. 60s, 70s, and in the gaming space, it's definitely not. It's not skewed as it should be, as in 50 is literally middle tier, and then above that, like 60 and 70 is actually pretty poor.
Yeah.
Considering in gaming reviews and such. Like if you look at a 60 out of 100, you're like, ugh,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's pretty accurate across the board.
All right. What are we doing here? What else we gotta let's talk about the game. But first, we gotta pay some bills. This week's episode of the BXG Gamescast is brought to you by sand.
Ooh.
It's coarse, it's rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. For more information, contact your local beach, or for sand in a bottle, make sure you reach out to your local hippie, vagrant, or vagabond. Back to the show. All right. So Hogwarts Legacy, we've talked about the extensive history of shitty Harry Potter games at this point.
Sure.
I don't know how there wasn't a Wii Harry Potter game. Actually, before we move on to Hogwarts Legacy, it just seems like Wingardium Leviosa and all that shit with the Wii remote. It just seems so obvious.
Yeah, I mean, there was like the multi-platform Wii game, but it definitely wasn't for the Wii. It didn't have it was the Deathly Hollows game.
Yeah,
that was for the Wii, but it definitely wasn't like made for the Wii.
That was. I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
Oh,
like that a Harry Potter.
Yes.
Same thing with and I feel like a lot of these games that have like hand shit on them, it's like kind of feels
listen.
like
You need
VR.
to dumb it down for some of our viewers who doesn't know what my hand shit means.
I'm sorry.
I mean, can we tone down the terminology a little bit to reach a wider audience?
Bad Dobby. Like hand to hand, I think of Beat Saber, right? On VR.
Yeah, Beat Saber's
and
great.
I think of I know there was a Vader, there was a Darth Vader game.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this is another one in VR where it's like, okay, you have these sticks. If you're playing on the PS, I don't know what like an Oculus or whatever controllers look like. Do they have those like stick things or
not really?
Okay. Well, you have how do you play Beat Saber then?
You just do it with well, never mind. I was going to pull my stuff out, but it's just like a little.
Whoa!
Yeah. Listen.
Whoa!
You have yeah, I don't have them handy. My things are missing, but no, it's just a little thing, little handheld things. They're not like wands or anything. It's just something that kind of fits in your fist. Oh yeah, my little thing fits in your fist. Ask your mom. Anyway, moving on.
All right. All right. I just what's happening? Okay.
Drink it in, buddy. Drink it in. Yeah. Yeah. Get a sip.
All right. Hogwarts Legacy. Footage of the game was leaked in 2018. It was officially announced at a PS5 event on September 16th, 2020, with an announcement trailer and a release date of 2021. The game has been delayed twice into 2022 and to February 10th, 2023, where the game will now release. On March 17th, 2022, a gameplay trailer was shown off during a PlayStation State of Play. The game went gold, meaning it has been content complete and submitted for certification. However, the choice was made to push last gen versions as well as the Switch version out a bit. The development of the development of the game has not been without controversy, much of it stemming from Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who, despite not having any official involvement with the development, has made comments online and in the media that tend to support a transphobic point of view. As such, the LGBTQI plus fans feel divided over the game, despite the fact that there is no involvement in the developer adding player customization options that would favor the creation of trans characters. Each time a new announcement, trailer, or a piece of news surrounding the game emerges, the internet is whipped into a frenzy with hashtag boycott Hogwarts Legacy. That's a mouthful. Trending on Twitter. Additionally, not at all toxic or reductive games discussion forum Reset Era has downright banned all mentions of the game on their forums. Not all of the controversy surrounding the game is Rawlings related, and some of the wounds are self-inflicted. Lead designer of the game, Troy Levite, left the studio after older YouTube videos of himself defending the Gamergate movement and dismissing sexual misconduct complaints against others. Despite the criticism, Levite reported that he left of his own accord and felt secure in his position. So let's just, before we move on to some of the other controversies that I'm going to roll my eyes so hard that they may roll out of my fucking skull.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on kind of the development hell, quote unquote, this has gone through? It's been in development for 6 years, which is pretty.
That's lengthy.
Yeah, that's longer than standard fare at this point for a AAA game. And then all of the Rowling stuff and the this Troy Levite, the lead game designer. Yeah. I mean, it's not a director, but lead game designer is still not somebody you want to.
That is a big deal. It's still a big deal. So the delays that the game's had, like the official delays, I don't hold much stock in. That's kind of common fare nowadays for games. I don't feel like that's necessarily surprising. The 6-year development cycle is kind of raise your eyebrows to, especially when you bring back what we just talked about with the studio that's doing this. It kind of makes you wonder if they're a little in over their head or if they have the right capacity to kind of tackle something this big that they're wanting to do, and they're getting pushed behind. So about JK and that, I think, and we touched on this before when we decided to cover this topic, and it's something that's worth mentioning again, is how an individual feels about separating the art from the artist. And everybody is going to have a different opinion on this. Same thing with Michael Jackson and Kanye. And I mean, just Kevin any Spacey. embattled famous person that's gone through controversy like this, be it on their own making or not. You still have this body of work that they work on, be it music, movies, art, games, whatever. And it's really a slippery slope when you ask people about this, because it's really hardline one way or the other. Like, people are really passionate about boycott this game, fuck JK, like, everybody has rights and stuff like that, which is great. And I agree with all that as well. But that also has nothing to do with the people who are actually making the game and are wanting to make this amazing game. And I'm sure they have the best intentions in mind of putting a great game out there in this universe that people love. Like, the sales speak for themselves for the books and the movies and such. People eat this shit up. So it kind of makes you wonder. I'm under the personal opinion that I think the books and movies would have still done just as well if this controversy would have came out earlier. I feel like it would have still gained traction and done as well. I could be wrong. That's just an assumption of mine. I feel like this game is going to sell the amount it's going to sell regardless of any boycotting. I don't think it's going to affect sales like people may want it to.
What is your take on the reset era? And again, tongue firmly in cheek, reset era, not at all toxic or reductive in any way, but banning any mention of it.
I feel like that's the wrong way to go about it. I mean, you got to the way anything gets solved is by conversation. If you just shut everything off, nothing gets resolved. You don't ever see any viewpoints. It's really closed-minded behavior. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. Now I understand this is a very volatile, toxic topic that could really ruffle feathers and really get under people's skin. So there's definitely that opportunity for the vitriol and for the anger in this topic, especially when you're talking about people and their orientation and things of that nature. So I feel like that's just such a rash decision just to ban talk about it. Just do better at moderating.
So, and this isn't in the write-up because it happened, or at least my knowledge, I don't think it happened before I was finished with it, but I think that this also bears mentioning Limited Run Games, who is known for publishing physical copies of very indie games. A lot of indie games at this day and age, the space is download only, and Limited Run Games is a company that will come in, they'll press 10,000 copies, whatever. And so this is the original story. I'm reading this from Tech Raptor, so I don't know
Right.
as far as what that the legitimacy, but this has been picked up by, I know Sacred Symbols covered this and actually had the individual on for one of the Sacred Symbols Plus episodes. So shout out to some legitimate kind of investigative journalism from our boy Colin Moriarty over there at Sacred Symbols. But the original story is physical game publisher Limited Run Games has apparently fired its community manager, Kara Lynn, over a series of transphobic tweets discovered on her timeline, as well as a number of right-wing and transphobic accounts in her following list. The decision was made, according to Limited Run, in order to foster a, quote, positive and safe environment, end quote, for everyone and to support inclusivity. It began when community manager Kara Lynn made comments about being excited to play the upcoming Hogwarts Legacy, a game that is surrounded in controversy owing to the transphobic views of Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, and also to viewpoints espoused by ex-leader designer Troy Levite, who has since left the company. I have one of Kara's tweets here. Tell me how incendiary you think this is.
Okay.
She responded to someone who tweeted feelings on the Hogwarts Legacy game, curious to see what people are thinking. And she said, I'm personally looking forward to it. The more I see gameplay, the more excited I get. It's hitting all the marks I've been waiting for a Harry Potter game.
That's it.
That's pretty fucking rough.
Wow. Wow. Burner at the stake. Wow.
So following this, Twitter user Purple Tinker, who has since deleted their account, described Lynn as a transphobe with several known right-wing and transphobic accounts on the list of accounts she follows on Twitter, including Ben Shapiro and Libs of TikTok. I'm going to see here if there's any former Carolyn has taken to Twitter In order to share her side of the limited run story, Lynn says that her dismissal came out of left field and that she had never been internally reprimanded or written up prior to her termination, nor did she abuse her power or personal opinions on the various social channels. She goes on to say that she truly believes that everyone has the right to love who they want to love. But she hesitates when children get involved. She says that although she doesn't believe she's hurt the trans or LGBTQ plus communities, anyone who does believe that has the right to their opinion. You can read her full response on her, I don't know, Twitter account. Twit longer? I don't know what that means. It's like a blog or some nonsense.
So, I mean, how do you feel about that?
Oh, it's horseshit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what's funny about it is we had a conversation on the main episode with Greg, or the main show with Greg, and he said, like, of his social media accounts, he follows more things that he hates than things he likes, and part of it is because he wants to expose himself to other, like, points of view. And I'm not saying that that's what her slant is by following, like, Ben Shapiro and these other transphobic people, but I just don't, like, I think that depending on what state limited run games is in, I feel like it's in North Carolina, but if they're an at-will state, she's fucked.
Oh yeah.
But you know, if she's not, then they're gonna have a lawsuit on their hands, because I don't think you can be terminated for people you follow. Like, if you're on Twitter or whatever tweeting like just hateful,
right, then that's
whatever, then that's one thing. But just, like, you know, like,
I mean,
followed,
not to get really into it, but
I used to follow the former president.
yeah, I was getting ready to say the same thing.
Right. I mean, more for comedy.
I mean, sure,
than
it was
anything
non-stop entertainment.
Right.
So yeah, that's not indicative of who a person is.
No.
It's more indicative of the content you want to see, and you don't necessarily know how they view the content.
Yeah.
You know, as just like for us, the former president, you know, I thought it was funny and that he was deranged, but other people follow him because they voted for the guy and like the guy and like what he had to say, you know. And that's not me saying what's right or what's wrong. It's just we are consuming the same content differently. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of important to keep in mind. And that's really just looking for a needle in the haystack kind of thing, like just finding something.
And my question there is, too, these people who do this, so they name the guy's account or the person's account Purple Tank or whatever. Yeah. It's like, do you just roll out of bed in the morning and go, like, grab a bowl of Wheaties and a cup of coffee and go, all right, let's fuck somebody's life up today?
Yeah, let's go, baby. Let's do some.
That's just, I bet you, I would bet $50 their Twitter avatar was an anime character.
Ooh, hot take.
Well, yeah, right.
But, it's kind of a mess.
Additionally, after the gameplay reveal, this is actually the statement that convinced me to pre-order this game. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Additionally, after the initial gameplay reveal, some players questioned the topic of the game, as it takes place during a goblin rebellion. And requires players to suppress the uprising. Opponents of the game suggested that certain anti-Semitic tropes were present, and the game's message suggests that minorities are meant to be repressed by their opposer instead of being allowed equal rights. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that these folks who made this statement never suppressed the rights of a hooker with a baseball bat in Grand Theft Auto. There are bigger fish to fry.
That is, man. So you mean like every villain
ever
in every game ever? That has got to be the broadest of strokes. That's so. Speaking of somebody just waking up in the morning, that's somebody waking up and being like, "Man, I need to find something to be really irrationally pissed off about."
Yeah,
it's art. It's not real. It's
Right.
not real. Like, I don't know why that's such a big deal. Goblins do not exist. I'm not going down to the goblin fucking rights activist rally, down in
We're gonna
Charlotte,
march
North
on,
Carolina,
march to the
hell
back.
no, we won't go and shit like that. Just, it's fucking insane. Do they have proper representation in Congress? Somebody needs to call somebody. Where does it end?
When I saw that, I was on the fence about whether I was going to play this at all. And then I was, because part of me was like, I'll wait till it's on sale. I'll wait until it's, discounted. I'll wait till it's a PS Plus game. I'll wait until, whatever. And then as soon as I read that while doing research, that some opponents of the game suggested that certain anti-Semitic tropes were present in the game's message, suggests that minorities are meant to be repressed by their oppressor instead of being allowed equal rights.
Like, what does that even mean?
Could you imagine? I'm going to tell you right now that if this nonsense, and I'm not going to say the word because every time you say it, you lose 30 seconds of your life, the W word.
Mm-hmm.
If this shit was going on when George Lucas made Star Wars, that it would have never seen a sequel, because I don't know if you folks knew this. The Empire is fascist and kind of loosely based on Nazis.
Yeah. Hot take there, but I mean, yeah.
Is it a hot take?
No, that's accurate. So I think the thing is, like, if I'm going to play devil's advocate here, with the anti-Semitic things, people suggest people of the Jewish persuasion or goblins that they're with, but like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It's it's literally insane, but it's just people grasping for straws. It's so dumb.
Well,
How common are goblins? If you have ever played a fucking video game, fucking Zelda has goblins.
Yep.
Nobody has
Final
ever
Fantasy?
said a fucking word about that. Yes,
Final Fantasy,
for
Dragon
fucking
Quest?
decades, literally decades, since we've been alive.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden it's an issue. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah. What is that game? Was it like Lair or something? I don't know. Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
Ultima. Like any
throw a
fantasy
dart
game.
at a board and that game's going to have goblins in it.
Right.
That you're murdering and suppressing. Like,
right. Yeah, you and I used to suppress goblins in the sands of the Valkyrie Dunes all the time.
All the time. We whooped their ass without any inhibitions and loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Cancel us. I don't care. I'll do it again too.
Oh, the issue for fans is the ability, as you said earlier, to separate the art from the artist and know that despite the fact that Rowling has not had any input or interaction with the development of the game whatsoever, as with anything in the wizarding world or the Potterverse, she stands to benefit from any commercial success the game has, which is kind of like whatever at this point. It's like,
I mean, it's a drop in the ocean at this point. I mean, you got to think she's got $1 trillion. Like, I mean, she's not hurting for this Hogwarts Legacy money.
No. Let's get those royalty checks going. Like,
yeah,
she's not even they're gonna like who's made Avalanche Software Group?
Who is this?
Avalanche Software, not studios, there's gonna be a direct deposit. She's not even gonna realize it.
Right.
It's just what it is. Oh man, I hope those folks don't have bonuses tied to Metacritic scores though. Okay, let's talk about the game. Built on Unreal Engine 4. The game will feature a fidelity mode, which will run at 30 frames per second, and a performance mode, which will target 60 frames per second with visual refresh rate. A robust character creation suite is available for players to mix and match visual styles, as well as choose the house of the player. Now, are you familiar with?
Nice, actually, I think that's nice. I was actually expecting them to shoehorn somebody into one house. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how different that's actually going to affect the story, but that is interesting that they're taking that route.
Are you familiar with the houses?
I know of them and kind of their generic standing, like good, bad,
right,
kind of whimsical.
I don't know if any of them are whimsical per se.
Yeah.
There's you have Gryffindor, which is like brave and strong, Slytherin, which is the bad guys,
Or
Hufflepuff, they're kind of like the who are these clowns?
the class clowns, I guess.
Yeah, well, they're like the who are these clowns, which is a double insult because not only are you saying there's those feisty goblins, not only are you saying that someone's a clown, but you're also saying that they're not even a well-known clown. At that point.
Right.
And then what's the other one? Ravenclaw. They're like smart, so they're like the nerds.
Sure.
Players will be able to explore the castle as well as classic Wizarding World sites such as Hogsmeade, the Forbidden Forest, Diagon Alley, and the Room of Requirement. The Room of Requirement will serve as a base building mechanic that will allow players to modify the room as they progress throughout the game. Progression is based on the completion of quests, which will provide experience points towards levels. When a new level is achieved, the player will be able to add to and upgrade their catalog of spells, abilities, and talents, combat, quest, exploration, and field guide pages. And the Room of Requirement will all add to the player experience total. Additionally, players will need to attend classes at Hogwarts and form relationships with their classmates. To progress as well, the player will have the ability to interact with various magical creatures, including stabling and training a hippogriff, which others can be used, while other creatures can be used as combat support items. The plot of the game revolves around a fifth-year student who will interact with classic Hogwarts ghosts such as Nearly Headless Nick and Peeves the Poltergeist, while also mingling with a cast of teachers whose voice talents include Simon Pegg and Leslie Nicole. Antagonists will include the previously mentioned Goblin Rebellion, as well as a group of dark wizards and other deadly magical mysteries. Watch out for those dark wizards, man. They're I think that's kind of racist.
Yeah, they're probably suppressed. I mean, do we need to call somebody about that?
Yeah, there's a FEMA or
FEMA. Okay, yeah, why not?
PETA, maybe. I don't know. Is that
PETA?
Would you call it like, okay, goblins are like subhuman? I think.
How dare you?
How
dare you?
They're like human-esque.
Oh,
But they're subhumans, Would you call PETA? I mean, who do you call for subhuman? Like who's down in Washington is the subhuman activists, subhuman rights?
That is a good question. I'll have to research that for you.
Yeah. Do you know what all that gameplay suggests to me?
What's that?
Lack of focus. And that scares me a little bit.
It's for me, it goes back to the studio making this, and it's going to be a whole bunch of mismatched pieces that don't necessarily fit together.
Yeah.
Now, these ideas separately, like the Room of Requirement, sounds awesome. Like the menagerie that you can keep and stuff like that they showed off. Sounds super, super fucking interesting. I'm down with that. And as you see here, some of these environments look very, very good. Like, very interesting. It has a lot of style and stuff like that. Also, with the actual school and walking around there and doing quests and building what they say relationships.
Truth or gobbledygook? I'm sorry. That was...
Oh my God. How dare they? The combat looks interesting enough. The areas look interesting enough, but you got to worry about the meat of it. It can look nice on the outside,
right?
And here's a little bit of combat. Yeah. So it seems very reactive and very action oriented, where you can kind of switch between spells a lot. A lot of dodging, a lot of active movement, it seems, for attacks and stuff like that, which is also interesting for me. I like gameplay like that keeps me engaged. It's just, is it going to be interesting enough to keep me engaged for 30 hours or however long they're wanting this game to be, 20 hours even, or is it going to get repetitive?
Yeah, I mean, gameplay loop is a big problem, I think, for games like this, but this kind of even says, so one of the things that I thought was faulty about Jedi Fallen Order was I feel like the game didn't really know its identity.
Sure.
Is it a Souls game? is it an Uncharted game? You know what I mean? Is it just a hack and slash?
Yep.
And so I feel like that's potentially what we could be in for here with this game, is because they're putting so many ideas into it. You have the quests, your different quests, your combat, your exploration, your quests, field guide pages, which is obviously going to be some type of my guess with that would be some type of like targeted
hunt,
like kill or subdue this many dark wizards or suppress this many goblins, hopefully.
Yeah.
I want to get a shirt that says like Goblin Suppressor.
No, I want the opposite. I want to say Goblin rights.
Goblin rights. Well, we can each have
or human rights or whatever.
Agree to disagree.
You're right. Another thing worth mentioning is how interesting is the open world going to be outside the school? How involved is it going to be? They mentioned, little towns and settlements you can go to. Are they just placeholders? Are they actually things to do there? Some of the dungeon gameplay does look interesting, but all this stuff, as you know, just as well as anybody else who's played video games for any set of time, these trailers are really cherry picked. Of course, they're trying to get you to buy the game. It's really the minute details that go in the moment gameplay that'll be really interesting. Now, they do show off a lot of different spell types and stuff like that, which they're doing here, which some involve buffing and movement, and then attacks, obviously, and manipulation as far as actually moving enemies around and stuff like that. All that's very cool. Great. I'm signed up for it, but I'm still worried about it. Like, all this is so new with a seemingly new studio doing this. It's just, man, I want it to be good, but I really have my pauses about it.
The section that they were just showing, I'm actually just going to back up here a little bit before it goes into talents and abilities. But so backing up the video, is this kind of like this section right here gives me kind of Control vibes.
Yes.
Where it seems pretty fast. It seems pretty kinetic. You have, you're kind of moving things with your wand in the same way that in Control, she kind of moves things with her mind.
That's a very good observation. I see that absolutely. Like, it's very
So there's that. And then, as you said, with the different buffs, I think that goes into, and this is where I get worried about some of all the different things that they have, is you kind of get a look here at what your upgrade tree is going to look like. But you have these, you have the room of the requirement is going to be like a base building sort of thing. You have these, you have to go to classes and build relationships. So that's almost like Persona-esque, which is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And then you have this sort of almost like, this is going to be a super deep cut for you old head PlayStation 1 fanboys. You have this almost Monster Rancher vibe with the
menagerie and stuff like that.
Yeah, the different animals that you can train and then use as almost like combat aids or buffs, like you had said,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then you got, like they're showing here, they got the crafting and stuff like that in your room of requirement and stuff that they say is also important to advancement and stuff like that. It's just all these. What's the depth of these though? That's my thing. All these sound cool, but man, is it just going to be something passive that I don't even have to deal with, or are you going to keep me engaged in the content?
Yeah, and it's like you had said, a lot of different areas outside the castle, I think, which is probably pretty necessary. See, these characters, like right now, these character models don't look great, but then you go to something like this with this little platypus looking thing.
Right.
And then some of these things do look a lot better. It's just like,
it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
And then a lot of these scenes where they're flying around actually look pretty interesting. Like, it looks cool, sure. But yeah, it's just, is there enough content as far as depth goes? Like, it seems like you got 100 things to do, but do I have to engage in any of it? And are you going to convince me to engage in it?
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
It's you got a companion here. We getting a little bit of a little bit of the PlayStation Sad Dad Simulator going on.
And it's like, And it makes you wonder, like with you being able to choose your house and stuff like that. And it says something about building relationships. Is that really going to affect the story? Or is it all kind of shoehorned down the same path? Like it branches at the beginning, but then you go down the main path at the end of the day. And nothing irritates me more to have a game feign that your choices matter, but they really don't.
Right.
I hate that. It's like, just don't put it in there to begin with. Craft a better story instead of giving me options that go down the same path to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, and we're getting kind of we had a little look at the castle there, the room requirement now. Ooh, there's a little house elf.
Yeah. Easy. They don't like to be called that anymore.
What do they like to be called?
Just elves, sir.
Oh, my bad.
You're so indifferent.
So yeah, we kind of getting this, you know what? I think that this, are my sounds not coming through? That's a bummer if they're not. Yeah, so this is a room of requirement, and it's Chinese Lantern Fest now.
Yeah.
And these kind of different expanding things.
Yeah, this is the menagerie they're going to go into and
right
stuff like that. I mean, it's all cool. I like it. I mean, this looks cool. This looks cool.
So you get a little you build a village. What is this, Dark Cloud?
It's like wow, another deep cut. But yeah, it's like you have all these things, and I'm excited about it. I think at the end of the day, like if I'm going to put a pretty bow on this, I feel like I want this game to be successful. Like I feel like I want Harry Potter games to be successful because I do find the world interesting. Just because I haven't watched the movies or read the books, this is cool stuff. Like I like it. I like the lore that it's trying to show me, and like it's got me kind of hooked in, and I want it to succeed. Just the things we talked about, man. It's hard to. I've been down this road before. Like this is me and you both, and anybody who's really played games for the past 10 plus years. It's like, how many times can you be fooled by this stuff? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It looks good. I think it looks for the most part good. The gameplay loop has me intrigued as far as I said, kind of like from a control standpoint. How much of those other sort of filtered in pieces and how much that they can either hold my attention or like how much of this is a requirement to move on. I don't really have I'm a checkbox guy because I do the trophies, so I'm going to probably see everything.
Yeah.
But if you're just a casual, or not even necessarily a casual, but like if you're just in this for, okay, I like Harry Potter, how much is this, like how many people are going to play through the whole game? And so that's kind of, I think what you're alluding to is how well are they going to get their hooks into you? What's the pacing? I think pacing is important as well for a game like this.
And it seems like you got a lot of pacing issues that can come up because you got to build, these relationships at school and go to class, but then you're dungeon hunting and fighting monsters and bosses, I assume, and stuff like that. It's like that's a stark contrast. And it's like, how much do you weigh one versus the other? How do you want your game to be? More action based where you're out exploring, or more school simulator where you're in there building your room of requirement and doing stuff? Nobody wants that, but you hope that's
that's not true. That's not true. The weebs want that.
Whoa! You're right. That's what they want. You're absolutely right.
I mean, Persona, man, those games they sell well. And then what's the other one? Like Sword Art Online or something like that, or Trails of Cold Steel that has that sort of those like relationship simulator things.
Yes.
Like simulators, go play Harvest Moon.
Right.
Weirdos. But anyway, so we talked about everything. I have this pre-ordered because of the Goblin Rebellion and my ability to suppress it, and the fact that that's going to make somebody upset.
Well, we've established through our show that you're definitely like a chaotic neutral. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I'll probably play this when it's on sale.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll get it at release. I'll definitely
Yeah.
kind of let it simmer a little bit and see what happens with it. But I will be checking. I will be checking this out.
Yeah, I'll have my thoughts, and I've been, for the other, promotional stuff, been doing the Last of Us playthrough,
Yep.
playing that with the series as it goes,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been having fun with that, and so I could see myself maybe doing something with this. The thing about the Last of Us is that it's linear, and so it lends itself to episodic kind of
Oh, it's
production.
perfect for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is a little bit
whereas
more
this
expensive.
is, yeah, we'll have to maybe figure things out a little bit, but yeah, I'm excited. Day one, and I'll have my thoughts. So otherwise, you can check us out on YouTube, BXG Productions, social medias, BXG Productions across the board. Twitter, Alpha Donut Guy, X Evolver X. It's
That's
a
me.
weird Patrick Starfish icon as your. I mean, at least it's not an anime character.
Don't hate.
Don't hate. Congratulate. And this has been our deep dive into Hogwarts Legacy.
Production, baby.
That's right.